In the silver dusk of Varela Prime, the training fields of the Galactic Defense Academy shimmered beneath domed shields. Energy barriers crackled around the perimeter, casting golden reflections across the metallic sands. Hundreds of cadets trained under alien suns, scaled warriors, crystalline minds, winged tacticians, all representing the finest species in the Galactic Compact. And among them stood a single human. Lieutenant Mira Hale, designation, Terran Exchange Cadet. The only one of her kind within the entire academy. Her pale skin was smudged with dust and carbon scoring, her dark hair tied back tight. In her hands, she gripped a standard-issue plasma saber, a weapon almost as tall as her forearm, glowing blue along its edge. The other cadets circled, murmuring among themselves. "She's the human," whispered a Threxian with chitinous armor plating. "The one who passed the motion trial by running instead of using grav stabilizers. They said her planet was primitive," a Lyran reptoid added. "No psionics, no bio-augmentation." Yet Mira stood in perfect stance, her saber humming softly. Across from her loomed the Instructor General Varka, a towering species of the Karth Dominion. 4 arms, heavy-plated shoulders, and eyes that burned with molten gold. "Cadet Hale," Varka rumbled. "You are aware of the Academy's code of arms?" "Yes, sir," she said evenly. "Every student must master one weapon in accordance with their species' physiology." "Correct." The instructor's mandibles clicked. "You, however, have requested authorization for dual-wielding?" A quiet ripple of disbelief spread through the ranks. Mira nodded. "Yes, sir." The instructor's 4 arms folded. No species in recorded galactic history has succeeded in mastering 2 plasma sabers at once. The reaction lag between neural relays is too great. Even Karth Dominion duelists, who possess 4 arms, fight with 1 primary and 1 secondary weapon. Dual-wielding is impossible. Mira's lips curled faintly. "Define impossible." Gasps rose from the crowd. Varka's tone sharpened. "Impossible means beyond biological or neurological capability." Mira set her jaw. "Then maybe humans have a different definition." To the challenge. The training hall's floor reconfigured into a dueling platform, hexagonal plates shifting and locking into place. Holographic projectors activated around the ring, forming a shimmering arena of blue light. "You will demonstrate your theory," said Varka. "If you succeed in controlling 2 sabers for 60 seconds without self-injury or system failure, I will authorize human dual-wield training. If you fail, you will withdraw your petition permanently." Mira saluted. "Accepted." The armory drone floated down beside her, extending 2 identical sabers. She took one in each hand. The left hilt crackled with violet energy, the right with blue. The dual hum filled the air like twin hearts beating. Cadets leaned forward watching. Some snickered. "She'll lose control," one murmured. "Humans lack psionic balance. Her brain will overload." Mira exhaled slowly. Her body stilled. Then she moved. 2 streaks of plasma slashed through the air in perfect arcs. One blade spun low, the other high. Her stance shifted, feet gliding over the sand, both arms moving in synchronized rhythm. The instructor's second set of eyes widened slightly. No tremor, no lag. Each motion flowed like liquid geometry. 30 seconds passed. Then 40. By 60, her sabers cut twin circles of light, forming a glowing helix around her. She deactivated both blades, standing motionless as smoke drifted in the arena. Silence. Then Varka spoke, voice low. "You trained for this?" "Yes, sir," she said. "Humans call it neurosplit conditioning." It's not augmentation. Just practice. He tilted his massive head. Explain. Mira smiled faintly. Our species learned to do two things at once long before spaceflight. Walking while thinking. Fighting while bleeding. Holding on when every instinct says to quit. The instructor stared for a long moment. Then he nodded slowly. Very well, Lieutenant Hale. The record stands. The hall erupted in murmurs. And from that day, Mira Hale became known across the academy by a new name. The Dual-Wielder of Varela. 3 lessons of steel. Over the next cycles, Mira's training regimen became the stuff of legend. Her mornings began before dawn under Varka's watch. She drilled with drones, practicing split parry techniques, counter-rotations, and blade harmonics. At night, she ran neural simulations to refine her motor response. Without implants, without psionics. The other cadets watched from a distance, torn between awe and resentment. To them, she was an anomaly. Humans were supposed to be weak, unadapted, fragile in the thin air of alien worlds. But every time she picked up those twin sabers, something in the air changed. It wasn't speed. It wasn't strength. It was intent. Human focus operates differently, noted one analyst. They call it flow state. Their brains temporarily suppress self-doubt and external noise. It's unnatural. Within 3 months, Mira could disarm a Threxian in 4 seconds flat. By the 5th month she could fight 3 simulacra at once. Her technique wasn't beautiful by alien standards. It was efficient, brutal, and alive. And then came the day everything changed. For the war that shouldn't have happened. The Academy never expected an invasion. Not on Varela Prime, the jewel of the Galactic Compact. But when the Krell Dominion arrived, vast ships cutting through the void like blades through silk, the world trembled. Krell were not part of the Compact. They were something older. A species that viewed peace as weakness, diplomacy as delay. Their warriors were bioforged. Their bodies encased in living armor that devoured energy itself. When the alarm sounded, the cadets assembled in formation. Varka stood before them, all 4 arms gripping weapons of war. Cadets, he thundered. The Krell have breached orbit. This is no drill. Every being who can hold a weapon will defend this world. Mira stood among them, both sabers in hand. The instructor's gaze found her. Hale. You're with me. 5. First contact. The sky was fire. Orbital cannons streaked overhead, vaporizing drop pods that rained down like molten meteors. The ground shook with the impact of every landing. Varka's squad advanced through the ruins of the outer academy. Mira's twin sabers cast dancing lights on shattered walls. When the first Krell warrior emerged, it was like seeing a nightmare take form. 2 meters tall, its armor pulsated with crimson veins, a bioweapon fused to its arms. Hold formation, barked Varka. But the Krell moved faster than any simulation. In a single leap, it tore through a Lyran's shield and impaled him through the chest. Mira didn't hesitate. She darted forward, blades crossing in a burst of plasma. One saber slashed low, slicing through tendons. The other drove upward, severing the creature's head. Its body collapsed, dissolving into ash. The squad stared. By the stars, whispered one cadet. She killed it. Varka looked at the fallen Krell, then at her. Form on Hale. Move. 6. The Siege of Varela. For 3 days the Academy held. Every corridor turned into a battlefield. Alien cadets fought shoulder to shoulder, their combined strength barely enough to slow the Krell advance. But Mira fought differently. Where others faltered, she adapted. Where others relied on instinct, she calculated. Every encounter became a dance of survival and defiance. In one skirmish, she fought 6 Krell at once, each strike countered by twin arcs of light. Her sabers moved like extensions of thought, not tools but language. Afterward, the survivors whispered, "She moves like she knows the future. No, she just refuses to die." 7. The turning point. By the 4th day, the Academy's command core had fallen. Communications were severed. The shield grid was failing. Mira and Varka's unit retreated into the central hall, the same arena where she'd once been told no species can dual-wield. Now it was filled with smoke and blood. Dozens of Krell stormed the gates. Varka turned to her. "If we fall here, the compact loses its symbol. The Academy must not fall." Mira met his gaze. "Then we hold." He nodded, handing her a second power cell. "For your weapons." "Thank you, sir." Then the gates shattered. The battle that followed was chaos. Varka tore through enemies with his 4 blades, roaring commands. Mira spun beside him, twin sabers painting the air with arcs of light. At one point, she caught sight of a young Threxian pinned beneath rubble. Without breaking stride, she deactivated one saber, hurled it like a spear, piercing a Krell's throat, then drew a sidearm with her free hand and fired 3 shots in rhythm. Even the instructor paused. "Hale!" he shouted over the din, "you're outnumbered." She grinned, blood on her cheek. "So are they." The last stand. Hours bled together. The Academy's power failed. The last defensive turrets fell silent. Mira's armor was scorched, her sabers flickering from strain. Around her lay fallen cadets of every species. Friends, rivals, strangers who had believed in her. Only a handful remained. And then from the smoke emerged a towering figure, the Krell warlord. 3 meters tall, armor pulsing like molten glass, its voice a chorus of whispers. "Human," it said. "You resist the inevitable. You are fragile, fleeting. Why fight?" Mira steadied her breath. "Because we can." The creature laughed. "You cannot win." "Maybe not." She lifted both sabers. "But you didn't come here to fight one species. You came to fight all of us." Then she charged. The clash was titanic. Steel against living armor, light against darkness. Each swing of her blades cut deep, searing the creature's carapace, but every strike drained her power reserves. The Krell struck back, smashing her against a wall. Bones cracked. Blood filled her mouth. But she rose again. When the warlord raised its arm to crush her, she crossed her sabers into an X, locking its limb. With a shout, she twisted, severing the appendage, and drove both blades into its chest. The explosion of plasma lit the hall like dawn. When the light faded, the Krell warlord was gone. Mira fell to her knees, sabers still glowing faintly in the silence. Varka limped forward, his armor shattered. He looked at her, pride burning in his eyes. "You have redefined the possible, Lieutenant," he said softly. Mira gave a tired smile. "No, sir. Just the definition of can't." 9. Aftermath. The Krell fleet withdrew days later. Compact reinforcements arrived, finding the Academy in ruins, but alive. Word of the battle spread across the galaxy. They spoke of the human who fought without augmentation. The warrior who wielded 2 blades as if guided by instinct older than fear. The soldier who refused to accept limits written by others. When the Galactic Council convened to honor the fallen, Mira stood before them. Her uniform tattered, both sabers hanging at her sides. Varka stood beside her, one arm bandaged, but smiling with rare respect. By decree of the Council, he declared, Lieutenant Mira Hale is recognized as the first of a new designation, Terran Vanguard, Master of Dual Arms, ***. Applause thundered through the chamber. But Mira only looked out the window at the stars beyond, because she knew there would always be another war. Another challenge. Another voice saying can't. And she would always be there to answer. Define can't. 10. Epilogue, The Human Doctrine. Years later, when the next generation of cadets arrived at the rebuilt Academy of Varela, they found a monument in the central hall. 2 sabers crossed in stone. Beneath them an inscription. She redefined what it meant to be possible. She was human. And every year, instructors repeated her story. When a cadet hesitated before a challenge, they would quote her words, quietly like a prayer or a dare. Define can't.